Good morning, all. Today we will start unit number 5. In my opinion, this is one of the very important topic, and the name of the topic you can see is statistics, and that is our 5th unit. So we will start with the unit number 5. And one important thing I would like to tell you at the beginning, every lecture will be dependent on the previous lecture. So you should have basic understanding of previous lecture. If you don't have, then you may not be in a position to understand some of the part of next lecture. So make sure that you are attentive, you are understanding, and if you didn't understand anything, ask me, I will help you to understand the same. Okay, so with this we will start. So this particular unit require around 8 hours to complete. The first part is measure of central tendency. In that we will see mean, median, mode. Second part is measurement of variability and dispersion. In that we will see standard deviation, standard error, variance, range. Measures of shape. In that we will see skewness, kurtosis. Then we will plot some diagrams, statistical diagrams. In that scatter diagram, histogram, pie chart, measures of association between two variables. Then correlation, in that Carl Pearson's coefficient of correlation and its mathematical properties we will see. Then Spearman's rank correlation and its interpretation. So when we look at these contents, so you definitely will say that, sir, we already studied most of the content in first year or second year. So yes, of course, you already studied. Even in 10th and 12th, 11th, you already studied this particular part. But the very important thing is that even though you already studied, in this particular year, we will be discussing the same thing in a different way. For example, mean, we know how to calculate mean. Yeah, just if you have 5 subjects in a semester and each score in each subject there will be some score, and what you just do, you take the average of those and you will say this is my percentage. So that is also mean value. But the question is how much we can rely on these values. For example, out of 5 subjects, you got 81, 82, 83 and 84 in 4 subjects, and in 5th subject you got only 40 marks. So what will happen? The average will go down and it will be around 70, 75, right? So because of that, only one course, your whole average or that mean value goes down. So does it mean you are not a scholar student, especially from academics point of view? Maybe for that paper you might be sick, or that subject may not be your liking. So there are so many reasons. So what I wanted to convey is that whenever we are estimating a particular value, for example mean, then every time do not try to conclude from it as it is. So this is important thing, and that you need to learn in this particular subject. Then you might have seen, I guess, few years back, Maharashtra state government launched best of 5. So if you let's say if you studied 6 subjects, out of 6 they will pick the only 5 subjects in which your score is good. They just exclude one subject, and for those 5 subjects they take the average. So we might have think on it that why government did that. So we need to understand what are the different policies, and why government is making such changes, or why we need to understand the philosophy behind such terminologies: mean, median, mode, standard deviation, and why it is essential. So with this basic understanding, we will start our today's session. So we'll start with introduction. So first of all, we will try to understand what is the exact or basic meaning of the statistics. So statistic is the art of learning from the data. So this statement is very important. Always you go anywhere, either you go in share market or you perform experiment in the fluid mechanics laboratory or fluid and turbomachinery laboratory, or take an example of COVID, everywhere you will get some data. And what is important in that data is what you learn from that data, and that is very important nowadays. Even we see that sometime on Amazon we search one advertise, and we search one information about XYZ product, and after some time when you open your Facebook account or any other account, then you will see the advertise of the same product. So you can imagine that whenever you are accessing the Amazon, for example, you are providing some data to that Amazon platform, and that data is processed, and you are liking, disliking are understood by that company, and that data is shared to Facebook or any other platform, and that advertise will come on your screen when you open Facebook, for example. So there is a huge scope for this particular statistic. So that's why in that regard I would say this is very important topic, and this is also basic for the next semester course, that is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay, so what we do in statistics, first we collect the data. So we need to find out the appropriate way of collecting the data. For example, we know that during this pandemic situation, if you visit different website, for example, Johns Hopkins University website or any other website where COVID data was displayed, how do they come to know about a particular count? Because data has to be collected all over the world. So generally the process is from village, the data go to taluka level, from taluka level, data submitted to district level, from all district data is submitted to state level, and from all state data is submitted to government level. So this is how the data collection process starts, and then that data is fetched by Johns Hopkins University, and they display the data all over the world. So there should be a proper data collection method, and that should be a reliable source. Suppose village level, the people are giving the wrong data. If you are from village, you might have observed the actual data and the data which is submitted. Generally, there is a chance that there is a deviation. So the data collection process should be a reliable. Then once the data has been collected, they are described, means through certain graphs or tables or charts, you need to present the data, because raw data will not help you to understand anything. So you need to come up with proper chart or graph or table, whatever, so that you can understand the phenomenon. That is very important. And once you describe the data in a particular format, you can draw some important conclusion, or you can do some analysis. And very importantly, once you draw important conclusion, government can decide the appropriate policies. Okay, so this definition is very important, you must understand. And even in throughout your career, whenever you are playing with data, so first of all, check whether the source is correct or not, data is reliable or not. Then for the given data set, you need to come up with proper way of presentation in terms of figures, charts or graph, whatever. Then once you draw that figure, table or graph, you need to do analysis. Once you do the analysis, you will get good conclusions, and based on that conclusion, you can do some modification. Now what we will do, we'll take some simple examples to start with the statistics. So can anybody tell what is the average life of human being? Just unmute yourself and tell me Don't worry about correct answer. Tell me the answer. Yeah, anybody? Quickly. Yes, anybody? Roll number 301.
80 years, sir.
80 years, good answer. Okay, second question is how much distance a CBZ bike travel for 1 liter petrol? That is the average. Yes, can anybody?
45.
Yeah, good answer. What is the most suitable unit to measure the life of a human being? What? Years. Good unit. We don't measure in days or months. So we find out the appropriate unit, that is years. That is understandable unit, I would say. So this is also very important in case of data. Which unit will you prefer to measure the life of a bulb? Yes, anybody? This is some, yes? Yeah, that could be, but best unit is how many times we on it and off it. So on off is 1 cycle. So that is the most appropriate unit for bulb. Why? But I typically took this example because we people are not aware about such type of philosophy. So that's why I told. Yeah, of course, to understand the common person, we express the life of the bulb in hours or in terms of warranty, that is years. That we do. But actually, the correct way to measure the life of the bulb is and that is cycles, on off cycles. Okay, so what we did in this case, in the 4 examples, we told a single value. The average life of human being is 80 years, but many of you think that no sir, it should be 75. Somebody might say no, it is 85. Somebody said at born or when a kid is very small, he may die. So many variations or differences of opinion may be there. So this will tell you we should not rely on a particular value. So that we will discuss afterwards. But this is just a discussion. Somebody may say that, sir, I have a CBZ bike and it gives a 55 average. Is also correct as his position. But that is an individual data. When somebody is saying 40, 45 average, it means it is a average of data collected from different many bikes of model CBZ. Now we will go to an COVID data. Just a minute. Okay, so yes, I opened here COVID data. So what is this? Can you see my screen? Yes, I guess you can see. So here there is only data, COVID data, right? And coronavirus cases worldwide. If you want to see country-wise, the data is available. Again, there is a particular type of chart you can see for the death. Again, in that, this is the plane scale, this is a linear scale, this is logarithmic. Again, here you can see the Delhi new cases data, this is the death cases. So you might have seen that there are different graphs are plotted on the worldometer. So Brazil data, India's data, Iran data, and so many datas are there. So suppose the count submitted by each state, each country, if you put in a tabular form, then table will be very big, and you will not understand anything from that such a table. But if you put the same data in this particular graphical form, then you can compare how the cases are increasing in Europe as well as in United States. So this particular graph will help you to compare the same. Again, here you can compare the graph of different countries. Again, this particular graph will help you to understand the percentage of total number of cases in percentage country wise. So what they did, or what Worldometer did, they collected the data and they presented in such a way that the some important conclusions can be drawn from it. For example, yeah. So here you can see from this graph, we can say that from October 12, 2020 to around January 19, 2020, there was a first wave. And especially in the month of beginning of January, there was a peak, 7th January. It was around the peak. Again, this was the second wave, third wave. So this is how we can draw some important observations or conclusions, and that will help us to make a decision. Especially we know that in the month of January 2021, slowly at the beginning of February 2021, slowly the cases start increasing, and government came to know that yeah, definitely now we will be facing the second wave soon, and now we should go for the lockdown at uh, place to place or location to location where there are more cases or concentration of population is more. So such type of important decisions can be made. For example, in Pune there are 10 villages, for example, and it is observed that in one of the village the number of cases are more. So what government can do, they can start the locking in that particular village, and they can give more relaxation to other villages. So such type of decisions can be made. So same thing we do, we collect the data, we analyze the data, and once you analyze the data, you draw some important conclusion and make critical decisions. Again, there are two types of statistics. First one is descriptive statistics, the part of statistics concerned with the description and summarization of data. So whenever you describe and summarize, that is called as descriptive statistics. Then inferential statistics. So the part of statistics concerned with the drawing of conclusion from the data is called as inferential statistics. So basic difference is when we collect the data and when we present the data in graphical, pictorial or tabular form, that is called as description of the data or descriptive statistics. But when you draw a conclusion from that, such tables, figures, then it is called as inferential statistics. So these are the basically two types of statistics. Now, before we actually start the content of our course, we will start with some basic introduction. So what is data? So data refers to the collection of factual information, for example, COVID data, such as, and it may be numbers, number of death, number of cases, or words. Suppose you are working in Google, then whenever you start typing on the Google browser, then it will recommend you certain words or certain sentences. So the machine, that Google machine, is always learning from the words. So the words can be a data. Measurements. So when you perform experiments in the fluid mechanics laboratory, you measure some parameters, pressure, velocity, whatever. Then observations. In your day-to-day life, you observe something, that how many people smoke or drink, or description together. So you can compare, consider more than one parameter, and you can collect the data. So that data may be of any type, number, words, measurements, observation, whatever. Now there are basically two types of data. One is qualitative. First one is qualitative, means it is the descriptive information. There will be no number. For example, what is your favorite holiday destination? So that is qualitative. It is not in numbers. Second data will be of quantitative type. In that, quantity means numbers are there. So data is expressed in terms of numbers. Number of students in a T, A or T, C division class. So that data is expressed in terms of quantity, that is number. Again, the qualitative data can be classified into nominal or ordinal data, and quantitative can be a continuous or discrete. So I will not go in detail with this. You can read it, or you might already studied this. Again, important thing is that quantitative data, because this particular course will more emphasize on quantitative data. Again, in that, discrete and continuous data. So that's why we will discuss this one and then we will move ahead. And this particular part is also very important. The discrete data may also be called as categorical data. So discrete data has a finite number of possible values. Means the numbers can be counted. For example, what is the population of Pune city? Of course, with certain system you can measure what too many people live in the Pune city. So when we are in a position to count the data, it may be a discrete data. Again, other example could be there are some discrete values, I would say. For example, take an example, coin. When you toss a coin, it may be either head or tail. So discrete values are there. So this is also called as discrete values, that is tossing a coin. Again, we will move ahead. Some part is there that I will tell you later. Then second part is continuous data. So in continuous data, infinite number of possible values could be there. For example, height of a person. So you can imagine that take a person, his height will be different. So if you start measuring the height of a people in Pune city, everybody may have different height value. So that is very difficult to count, or we can say that will take any value between the given range. Okay, so that's why we call it as a continuous data. For example, height of a person, you can see that value may be anything. So what is the basic difference between discrete and continuous? In discrete, there are discrete categories. For example, in case of coin, head or tail. Take an example of a cube. So cube has only 6 faces, and if you put numbers, so out when you toss that cube, then outcome will be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 or 6. Other than there will be no outcome. So that is discrete. And in continuous, if you start measuring the height of a person, every person will have different height. So you will get continuous data and infinite number of data. Okay, then again, whenever we play with the data, we need to define certain terminologies. For example, suppose if you are starting measuring the COVID cases in Pune city, then you cannot say that if COVID cases are increasing, Pune means all over world the number of cases are increasing. No, because Pune is not a representative of the whole globe. So that's why we need to define the certain terminologies. And first terminology is universe. So universe is the total number of items in the field of inquiry. So for example, the COVID cases. So the COVID cases all over the world could be a universe, because the WHO or we people are interested to know how that COVID cases are spreading all over the world. So that could be the universe. We can take another example. If we want to know the average height of a person, and we cannot measure the only height of the people from your class and we can say yes, this is the average for all people of all over the world. No, the average height of European person or Chinese were totally different. So if you want to consider the height of a person, then you need to collect the data from all the countries and then come to the conclusion, yes, the height of the person is this much. Then here, when I say items, then it is also called as elementary units and should possess similar characteristics. For example, when I say height of a person, then its unit, you can look at the unit. We should measure the unit in centimeters or a particular unit, and then we should take the average. Or take second example, the average height of a male will be different. The average height of female will be different. So that characteristics you need to define, or you can define the globe universe. That is, I may say I'm just interested to know the average life of Indian people. So in that case, the population of India will be your population, and if we want to measure the average life of male, that will be a particular characteristics. What is the average life of a female? That will be the particular characteristics. Now types of universe: finite universe and infinite. These are the two types. Infinite, it has fixed number of units, so that can be counted basically. For example, population of a Pune city we can count, or how many workers in a factory, or how many students are there in TA division, that can be counted. So it is called as finite population. In case of infinite universe, theoretically it is impossible or difficult to count a number of units. Theoretically, I am saying. For example, if I ask you to count the population of the whole world, very difficult. So infinite universe could be there. Or if you purchase 1 kilo of sugar, and if I ask you how many pieces are there, it's impossible to count. So such examples are of infinite universe. Or as I already mentioned, we cannot have any idea about the total number of items in a numerical information. Very difficult. की 1 किलो साखर मध्ये किती pieces आहेत? Very difficult. Again, number of stars in the sky, impossible to count, right? So when I say infinite universe means you cannot count. When I say finite means you can count. So this is the basic difference between these two terms. We will go ahead. We already discussed universe. Now we will take one more example. Suppose ABC is a company. They manufacture 3 models of buses through which we travel. Let's say bus 1, bus 2, and bus 3. Then for that given company, the group of all the buses, bus 1, 2, 3, can be considered as universe. That could be your definition, because here important thing is that as a researcher or as a data science engineer, it is your responsibility to define population or universe. Nobody will tell you that you need define in this way. They can give you the guidelines, but you are there to define the same. Then one more term come into picture apart from that is population, and it is the total items or units about which information is desired. And when I look at the definition of universe and population, it looks same, right? So I will tell you, in many applications the word universe and population are interchangeably used. So you can see here we defined this particular group of all the buses as a universe, but you can call it as a population. But if you go more in detail, you can separately define population. You are free to do that. For example, suppose you already define universe means group of all the buses, that is bus 1, bus 2, and bus 3. Now the company ABC wants to carry out reliability analysis of bus 2, as its failure frequency is comparatively more. So what is here? The company manufacture 3 types of buses. These are the 3 different models, but this particular model fails more, so it has a reliability issue. So the group and the company manufacture n number of buses of type 2. So you may consider all the models of bus 2 is a population. So this is how you can differentiate or make a separate definition for universe as well as population. Then next one is sample, the third definition. A subgroup of the population that will be studied in detail is called as a sample. See, in this particular example, suppose the ABC company manufactured 1000 buses of type 2, and after manufacturing they sold to different customers, and it is impossible to collect the failure data from all the buses, let's say 1000 buses, and through which we cannot make the reliability prediction because some customer will say we will not give the data. So in that case, what you need to do, you need to collect the data from some of the buses, few buses I would say, especially out of 1000, suppose only 200 customers said that yes, we maintain the data of failures of that bus and we will share with you. So that 200 data you will take and you can make your predictions. So what I'm saying here, when you are not in a position to collect the data from the population, you need to select the sample, and whatever conclusions you will be drawing from that sample, we say that similar type of behavior will be there for population or universe. But of course, how you collect the sample is very important. That is very challenging thing. And in data science, I will tell you, collecting the data and its reliability, that data is really well, in a well manner that data has been collected. That is a very challenging task. Just like I said, suppose you collected the COVID cases from Pune city only, you cannot say that the same trend is there in the Maharashtra state or in India. No. But if you start collecting the data from all the district, Kolhapur district, Sangli district, Pune, all the district, if you collect the data, and if you say, yeah, this is the overall trend of Maharashtra state, then people will say, yeah, this is something correct. But if you have only data of only Kolhapur district, if you're saying this is the trend of Kolhapur and that's why there is a trend in Maharashtra, no, nobody will believe in you. So that's why how you decide the sample is very important. Now we will move ahead. Now we will see some of the things. Mean, we will start with the mean. And mean is a central tendency, as I mentioned. Now you may ask, sir, what is the central tendency? So the tendency in any new data to cluster around the values at the center of the distribution is called as a central tendency of the data. You may say, sir, definition is fine, but things are not getting clear. Okay, so we are going to take some example. For example, suppose you have 5 courses in previous semester, and in all courses you got marks 80, 82, 84, 88, and let's say 90. And if you take the average of all the marks, then the mean will be around 85. And when you compare the mean values and individual subject values, then all these values are very close to 85, right? So your that average percentage will be at the central and individual subject marks will be very close to that. So this is the meaning of that central tendency. So that's why sometimes we rely on central tendency. Then when we take average, that could be one of the central tendency, which we call it as a mean. But every time we cannot rely on mean. So that's why 2 more terms are there, median and mode, that we will be discussing afterwards in a detail. So let's start with mean. Mean is the simply arithmetic average of the data points. 5 subjects, take the average, and that will be the mean. And this is the widely used measure, and generally mean is denoted by this symbol mu. And I will tell you, in different books you will see different notation for mean, but in most of the places mu is used for denoting the mean. So try to use this particular notation. So sum of the observations divided by total number of observations. So sum of your scores in individual subjects divided by total number of courses, that will give you the mean value. Now computation of arithmetic mean. So individual observation and grouped observation. So these are the basically two types. Simple things are there. Suppose a sample consists of n data points x1, x2, x3 up to xn. Then the sample mean is mu is equal to sum of all the observation divided by total number of observations. So total number of observation is n. And in simplified way, summation I is equal to 1 to n xi upon n. So this is how, if individual observations are there, you can calculate the mean by using formula. We will take one example. The average fuel efficiencies in kilometers per liter of a car sold in the India in the year 2015 to 20 is, so these are the observations. And the question is, find the sample mean for this data. You want to know what is the average kilometer per liter that car travel. So you will add all these values. And how many values are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So total number of values are 7. So average is 28.8857 kilometer per liter. So this is very interesting and very simple. You can take the mean. And you may say that this is the average distance that the car will travel per liter. Okay, so student, what we will do, we will stop here. Okay, and latter part we will discuss in our next class. Okay, so we will stop here, and in afternoon session we will see the upcoming contents from this unit. Meanwhile, what you need to do, you will find attendance link in the chat box. Use that link and fill your attendance.